Alright, welcome one, welcome all to Samuel Plays Brass. This is Samuel, and let's talk mouthpieces. You can see I got a bit of a display going here, and so I'll talk about each of these mouthpieces and I guess my thoughts on them. And I'm not going to really do any demonstrations in this video, but this is just a quick little video to show you guys what these mouthpieces are like. So first in line over here, we have the mouthpiece that came with my Yamaha Custom Z Bobby Shoe jazz horn, which is quite the mouthful, and that's what belongs in this box here. And it's actually a Bobby Shoe custom mouthpiece. It's the jazz edition. I don't have the lead or the flugel mouthpiece that he customized, but this is a pretty nice mouthpiece. It's worth quite a lot of money actually, and yeah, it's a jazz mouthpiece, but it works well all around pretty much. And yeah, it gives you a lot of high register to work with, believe me. And it's about equivalent to a 3C. So if you're a beginning player, this is probably not the optimal choice. You're probably going to want to go with something more like my old 7C here, made by Blessing. I don't have the box for it. This is what I put on my student model until recently. And yeah, I've kind of started growing out of the 7C, so I've moved on to the 3C, which we'll get onto. But yeah, this is approximately a 3C, so if you play 3C, that's awesome. You can pick one of these up and try them out at your local music store. And hey, who knows, maybe it'll work out for you, like it did for me. So, I've got that. And then, I wanted something to give me a more mellow tone. I wanted something that was better for classical repertoire, So we've got this Bach Megatone mouthpiece, and this is a spectacular mouthpiece. It's in 3C. I do believe they make Bach mouthpieces, whether or not the Megatone one's in like 1C, 1.25C, 1.5C. At least two of those three sizes I'm pretty sure exists. But this is the 3C Megatone, so it's pretty much compatible with this and that, so you can switch between them without too much trouble. And this has got to be one of my favorite mouthpieces out there. I mean, it's not quite as good as those Monette mouthpieces. One of my friends has one of those, and geez, I've tried one before and they're absolutely awesome. But this is probably the next best thing, and it's probably a quarter as expensive, honestly, so you can pick one up for a lot less, and who knows, you might like it. But then again, I'm no mouthpiece buying guide. I'm one of the last people you should listen to. I'm just showing you guys what I have. And this is a brand new Vincent Bach 3C standard commercial mouthpiece, and it's just got the normal shape. It's not gonna have as mellow of a tone as the Megatone, but I mean, it's a fairly good mouthpiece. Now, one thing I was very angry about, I don't know how well you can see this, but it's quite tarnished. It's not focusing very well, that's for darn sure. But it's very, very tarnished, especially around the rim. I can't really tell if that's tarnish or just the fingerprints of whoever put this in the box, but it looks grimy, and I gave this a wash, and a very thorough one at that, and none of it came off. So luckily this is going to be going on my student model horn that I use outside of performances, just for things like practice, so it doesn't have to necessarily be ornate. And I've already covered the basics of that Blessing 7C there. I've had that for probably more than a year now, and it has lasted, but I suggest this for more beginning players than people who have been playing for a few years and have built up their chops and whatnot. You can squeak out a few high notes on this thing, but I mean, it's just, once your lips become strong to a certain degree, it just doesn't feel quite right. It feels better with a larger mouthpiece. And they make, so you can transition a little more gradually. They make, 5 C's in between 7 and 3, but that's middle ground. Not a lot of people use the 5C. Not a lot of people even use the 3C. A lot of people either use 7 or supposedly even 9C, or something more like the 1.5C. So, you know, I mean, a lot of people like the extremes. I am not either a beginner or a professional, so my personal favorite size is a 3C. And then we've got the big old trombone mouthpiece over here. So this thing is again, Vincent Bach. You gotta love those Bach mouthpieces. I think they are some of the best out there, honestly. And they're not extremely expensive. I mean, yeah, they're worth a lot, but they're not going to empty out your bank account the way a Monette will. And then the sizing on this thing is a 5G. Now, I don't really know much about trombone mouthpieces, frankly, but I'll tell you one thing. This mouthpiece, actually I should show you guys, is not a shallow one. It is a very deep and rounded out mouthpiece. And, you know, obviously it's meant for a different purpose on trombone than on trumpet, but this kind of a mouthpiece gives you a very, very full sound down low. All the notes are a lot more present than some of the other mouthpieces I've played on. The pedal notes are just astonishingly good with a larger mouthpiece like this. And, you know, when I got my trombone, the guy there asked me what kind of a mouthpiece I wanted, and I told him I played on a 7C. This was back before that I knew the Bobby Shoe was a 3C, more or less. So he brought out a 7C for trombone. And, you know, something about it just wasn't there. So I asked what other mouthpieces he had, and he brought out a few others, and I really fell in love with this one, just because it has such great low tone. And like the Monette, not the Monette, sorry, I wish. Just like the Megatone, it does not detract at all from your high range, unlike a lot of the other mouthpieces that are designed to play mellow. Though I don't think this one has like the sole purpose of playing mellow, but it's a very nice one at that. And, you know, I've played on my friend's euphonium with a slightly smaller and narrower mouthpiece, and like this area here, it was kind of inverted, and, you know, it wasn't as deep. And I mean, the bore size was actually slightly larger because it was euphonium, but something about it just wasn't there. You know, I tried playing pedal tones on it, and it wasn't quite there, you know. And you know, I pulled out my trombone mouthpiece, just slapped it on there. It went to about that far because the bore of the euphonium was just slightly bigger than the bore of my trombone, but the lower notes were so much easier to reach. So, you know, that's just my input. Everybody has their own preferences, and basically my advice to you is to try out a lot of different things. Just try out as many mouthpieces as possible, go for exactly what fits you, and then just adjust from there. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little video, and yeah, peace out.